back to the show, my friends. Let me ask you this. Does being busy, self-awareness about busyness too, do these things impact success and how we just perform, how we show up? What do you guys think?
I think busyness is a trap. It's a big old trap. There's like that badge of honor, like, oh, I'm so busy. And I definitely used to have that. And the more I've grown in my business and then, add in being a mother as well, it's like the less I do, the better I do. So I'm always like, I try to have my to do list and the things that I'm doing in my day to day be like three. It doesn't mean like I'm doing one, two, three emails, but like chunk of emails, what other tasks do I have to do? So really streamlining. So I'm really focusing on the things that are actually moving the needle as opposed to everything.
One thing that I've learned about busyness is that it's a bit of a lie. First of all, because we all get 24 hours in a day, but I prefer to think, am I producing or not producing? Right.
Nice.
And it's very easy to measure that because if you're so busy, right, whatever that may be, is there an outcome? Like, can you see it? Is there a podcast episode that's been recorded? Is there a pie that's been baked? Like, are there emails in your sent items? Like, is there something tangible that's been produced? In which case, awesome. But I think so much of it is just sloppy thinking, walking around the house, pacing around the water cooler if you're in an office, with a lot to do, but nothing actually happening. And I think it's really important to be honest about that. It's like, what did I produce today? You can be so busy all the time because busyness really begins in the mind and it can be a very stressful thought. But it's like, what have you created? Can I see it? Can I look at it? Can I touch it? Can I eat it? What is the thing? So I think that's a great distinction: busyness versus actually producing. And even just the word producing just feels better, makes you feel far
Yeah.
more in control.
And for me, there was a saying that I always heard. It's like you could be busy doing a whole lot of busy of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I had to learn because things were exactly what you said, Susie. Things were being produced and they were great, but it was like it goes back to, did it make sense for the purpose? Did it make sense for the goal? Because it was great, the outcome was good, and people were like, "Man, this is great." But when I really took a step back, and I'm like, okay, but does this match the essential goal? Does this match the bigger picture and purpose? So for me, I always had to, and even still sometimes, because we get caught up. We're women. I think we're used to multitasking. For
Mm-hmm.
me, a lot of times I can do a lot of things, but it doesn't mean I need to do everything. That so I think,
Oh, very important. And
yeah,
with the busyness, I think sometimes too, we're just avoiding ourselves or avoiding
yeah,
something because it's so easy to
yeah,
immerse yourself in like all the things. You can do a million things a day that aren't necessarily effective or helpful to anybody, least of all you, but it keeps you
yeah,
busy. But sometimes a good question can be like, if I've been so busy my whole life, right, it can happen, or even just this past year, this week, whatever it may be. Uh, is there something maybe you're avoiding, an emotion? Because in the stillness,
nice,
everything will kind of come to you. So I think that sometimes busy can be a bit of a mask for that as well. And it's kind of convenient because no one's going to question it. You're so busy, right? It's like first name, you're so busy, last name, So I think it's good to be maybe honest with ourselves sometimes too and think, is my busyness like expedient because there's something maybe else that could use your attention.
I love that. That's a
yeah.
great,
I think the
great.
world,
Like we have busy seasons too. Let's think about that, right? New baby, busy, right? There's just a lot to do, a lot to kind of manage and think about. In a launch, that's a concentrated phase of work, but a lot of the time it's a decision that we make, and it can be a bit of an excuse. So I think that's sometimes worthwhile to consider, look at, question, and just be honest, because the only person who's missing out is you.
And that's such a great
yeah,
point.
and take a second.
Post-its on the laptop. Am I producing? Am I just being busy? And also another great question is, who else can do this? Because I think sometimes it's so easy to think like, oh, I have to do everything. No, you don't.
Mhm.
No, no, you do not. Who else can do this better than even I could?
Yes, and if someone can do something 80% as well as you, they can have it. Remember, like
It's
perfection
true.
is about anxiety. Perfectionism is about anxiety. It's not about high standards. So when we feel like, "Ugh, I have to manage anything, your world will always be small. Your business will always be small because we need to allow help in too. And remember to
Right.
breaks, because breaks give us perspective, they allow us to be creative, and they're also a marker of our own self-love.
I love that.
Right. Take
Right.
a second. Take a second. Be still. Now more than ever, quarantine, I think the world had to be still for a second. So
Yeah.
from time to time, I don't think we shouldn't have to have a pandemic. And I'm talking to myself too. We shouldn't have to have a pandemic to just sometimes be still and really evaluate what's important and what's necessary. What do we need? What don't we need? What can we compromise on? What don't we need to compromise on? So yeah, take a second and be still.
Be still.
I love that.
Really good nuggets of information today. If you're enjoying the show and conversation and you want more, join our membership today at theconnectonline.com.
Yes, and make sure you keep up with us and connect with us. All the episodes of The Connect Show South Florida on Natalie's network and, of course, theconnectonline.com. Until then, ladies, who's winning? Who's winning?
We don't know. The Dolphins. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Free.
If you missed last week's episode of The Connect Show, don't fret. Binge watch Netflix style, only on YouTube at Natalie's Network. You see, we're not just creating female-based content. We are handing you the blueprint to success. Every Saturday, catching up close and personal peek with high-influence women on The Connect Show Texas, The Connect Show South Florida, and oh yeah, The Connect Show Twin Cities.